What's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here, AQUA Life Baby. You already know. And today, guys, I'm going to bring you an update to my Blue Wave deck post-Fires Collection 2016. I know y'all been fiending for an update to my Blue Wave deck, so here it is, y'all. I know my boy Gio, who you guys saw in the last video. He was supposed to give me one, during the locals at Carson's Corner. Again, very good locals, guys. Definitely go check that place out. But things happen in terms of when we were going to film it, next round started, then that round took really long and the store was closed and he had to catch a flight. So one thing led to another. It just didn't happen. But and then I know some of y'all, I was going to record a Blue Wave deck at during Spring Fest, but I think we all got lost in the event and whatnot, and so things like that happen. But it's cool, man. It's cool. We'll catch up later. But yeah, I'm bringing you guys an update to my Blue Wave deck post Fires Collection 2016. My Thavas deck, guy, I'm gonna be working on this deck a lot more heavily. My Thavas deck, guys, I really like my regional build. I don't really think I'm going to be changing too many things in that build right now. I just feel like that build is just really, set in stone. I'll be testing out different things in that build. Obviously, I'm always testing out, different cards, new cards. But right now, I really like that build. I think is really nice and it's set in stone. And, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's my idea. So, without further ado, let's get started. All right. So, starter. Dagger Master, Draco Kid. I was playtesting this deck actually at locals when we were doing like some sort of 15 card G-Zone thing, just to get used to running more G-Zone cards. This deck was actually running really well. It's just running into the problem of actually having way too many grade 3s in hand for my own good. But I have some cards in here that, with the G Guardians and whatnot, I think certain problems in here have been alleviated with that notion. But I really like Dagger Master Draco Kid as a starter still. Being that +1 definitely comes in handy when you're backed up against the wall. You just need to get to that second battle and draw a free card. And when you're on Tetra Boil, nothing like G guarding and then going into Tetra Boil and then using his ability to go off. I mean, he goes off a lot earlier than he did before, because if you have a heal trigger in your hand and you do G guard, and then you can go into your GB2 stride, Tetra Boil, Lambros, whatever it is, you can throw him into the soul, and then when you do your restand play, is really good. So yeah, he's definitely seen an increased amount of usage in the deck, and it's a lot better. 4 heal triggers, obviously. 4 draw. Again, yes, this deck does draw quite a bit in a way, but you still need to be able to run those draw triggers. Malika's +3 skill is still very important, guys. Sometimes in Blue Waves, you do need to fix your numbers into when you're on your Tetra Boil turn, especially when your opponent hits a damage trigger and when you're restanding cards like Foivos and whatnot. And that +3, definitely, that extra +3, in addition to Anger Boil's +3 and Foivos' restand ability, will definitely come in handy. So Foivos +2, Anger Boil will be +3, her can be +8. That can definitely put you put you over the amount. So instead of him being 14, he's 17. And I'll explain more of that going along. So she's definitely a key addition. And drawing more cards definitely helps getting to your key pieces as well. 4 of the best crit trigger in the deck, probably one of my favorite crit triggers. Brutal Trooper, just a nasty card. He allows you to draw an extra card on your restand plays, and if you need to reset your hand and you have a Blue Wave Vanguard, he does that for you as well. When you attack on the second battle, you just draw a card, but you send them back to the deck. And then Supersonic Sailor to unflip damage. The deck does counterblast a bit, and so you will find that you do use him a little bit more often than you would in Thavas, depending on how aggressive you use your counterblast in Thavas. And to unflip damage to extend your combos for Foivos and Tetra Boil and other things like that. Alright, on to grade 1. Alright, grade 1. 4 copies of Plato, still running 4 copies of Plato. Plato, that unflip is still really important, guys. I know that, again, like I said, people do run the non-unflipping perfect guard, but I really like this unflipping perfect guard, again, because I know some people will like to protect their sides, and we have Dismal now if you're really concerned about your sides. But with Anger Boil's GB2 ability turning, that any the third attack into whatever it is plus 10,000 power, and then you should have a backup plan in your hand already. I feel that you can protecting yourself and getting that really key unflip to extend your combos for the following turn is just so much more valuable than protecting certain sides. And we run enough 4th battle enablers, even though you don't really have to hit the 4th battle, essentially depending on what you're doing in this deck, like Foivos. And Foivos, he doesn't, he's not necessarily a 4th battle enabler, but for the style of Blue Waves is what he fits, and he's a card we definitely play for. But I'll explain more of that when we get there. But he's definitely a card that definitely takes up Counterblast, especially with repetitive usage, Tetra Boil repetitive usage. We also play Magmasol, who I'll get to, and these cards do take up Counterblast, especially when you're going to be defending yourself a lot more often in this era. You want to have that nice unflip. 4 stride enables the deck is a stride deck, and we want to be able to stride as often as possible and as soon as possible. 3 Stacia. Stacia, again, is baby girl. She's definitely, to me, she earned herself a 3 slot in this deck, at least for right now, post Fire's Collection. Her being able to poke at one side, and doing things. This deck's first stride turn is not that great. Obviously, we do go into Commander. I usually go into Commander Thavas as my first offensive stride, pending me G Guardian, using a G Guardian the turn prior or not. But she really helps get to that She really helps get to that 3rd, 4th battle if I need to go into an Aristotle to pop a unit that I need to get off the board, or just going to Commander Thavas to to have Foivos be live, to be a little bit more active than he would stand alone. So she's just really helpful, and her 9k poke is definitely helpful, especially on the Tetra Boil turn, taking out those little intercept units that can be very annoying too. And then 2 copies of the Bright Shooter, Blue Wave Soldier Bright Shooter. The reason why I'm running Bright Shooter is because I want to add those grade 3s to hand. I went back to him because I do like the whole add a grade 3 to your hand at the end of the 4th battle, then drop it for Tetra Boil and restand. But also, adding those grade 3s to your hand not only helps with your stride, but also helps that you can put that rear guard on board when your stuff is getting blown up or taken off the board, stride fodder, as well as for Screw. Since we're running Screw in the deck, we can discard that grade 3, which is not even a shield, for an extra 10k. So if we G guard with Screw, we turn that grade 3 into a 10k shield, making Screw a 25k shield. That grade 3 just turns Screw into a 25k shield. That's just really good. And through some play testing, I've done that a lot of times, and those extra grade 3s have really come in handy in making Screw a lot better in this deck. So this guy has definitely helped out a lot in that regard. Alright, on to grade 2. Alright, now grade 2, the one guy that always needs no explanation, my main man, Tyler Saul, favorite rear guard, knock 4 is my baby right there. Always got to run 4 of him. Too good of a card. Makes a lot of plays in here. Definitely deadly when you restand him with Anger Boil. Really good on the Tetra Boil turn, especially when you start if you can stack a trigger on him. You can swing him at a rear guard, restand him, give him plus 3k, possibly give his booster 3k if you swing with the full boot. I mean, he just makes plays all around. 4 copies of Foivos. Foivos is really nasty. Counterblast 1, third battle only. At the end of the battle that attacked an opponent's Vanguard. If you have a blue-wave Vanguard, you can restand him. Now he gains plus 2k on his attack. Please remember that, guys. So he's an 11k when he attacks in the third battle, and you pay the cost of a Counterblast 1, and then he restands and he retains all of his power. Very good card. Now, I did run into a situation, guys, where when I played against Shadow Paladins at locals once, I didn't have any Counterblasts, and I was forced to use Anger Boyle's GB2 ability. You know, in that situation, I would have rather had Tidal, because I could have swung it side and then restood with Anger, and I would have had 2 attacks, and I would have had, you know, with no triggers, I would have had a 19 and a 14 rather than just a 19. But you know, it is what it is. There's some situations Foivos is better if I have the Counterblast. If not, Tidal. 2 copies of High Tide Sniper. High Tide Sniper. The reason why I went back to him. Jeez, that glare, damn it. The reason why I went back to High Tide Sniper is because I wanted to add something that can make usage of the soul in this deck, and just, you know, add some more offensive presence. Really good on the Tetra Boil Stride turn. You know, give him that little plus 3k, making him 12k, and then when he swings on the third battle or more, he's going to be 22k. Nothing in this deck Soul Blast, so he has full command over the soul. So that there's a lot of ammo for a High Tide Sniper to really put a lot of pressure on the opponent. And if you restand him with Anger Boil, you know, just like our Lambros plays, and you know, we also play Lambros in here, you know, like with Lambros plays, this guy makes some really high pressuring columns. And then 2 copies of Magnum Assault. Again, just another 4th battle enabler. I went back to him. I was testing him out through a few suggestions. I really liked him when I was testing him out, and you know, he works out a lot. One of my members from Team SAC, Sean, he was, you know, I saw him play testing with it, and I decided to, you know, go back and test Magnum Assault out again, you know, just tentatively at 2, and you know, he worked out really well. There was a game I was having, and you know, I was able to swing side with him, restand him with Anger Boil, and you know, attack with him with a boost for 26, restand 21, things like that. So definitely, Magnum Assault has definitely put in some work. All right, on to grade 3. All right, guys. Now for grade 3, where's my SP copy? There he is. 4 copies of Tetra Drive Dragon. Probably my historically my favorite grade 3 in Aqua Force. I have a long-standing history with him. Now here's the thing. Now I know that Seabreeze is out and we're striding and blah blah blah, but and the grade 2 game is not really existing. There will be some times where you might ride him, and if you're pressured to 4 damage, you know, early on, you end up using his limit break. You know, I've actually had to do that once when I've been, you know, just crit sacked or whatever. But he's not the card you want to ride. He's really not the card you want to ride. Unfortunately, I wish we had a card that we can search out Anger Boil with. I'll just show you 4 Anger Boil. Obviously, I need to get some SPs in here, but yeah. So Tetra Drive is not the card you really want to ride anymore, because that double restand and plus 3s that Anger Boil provides is so key to adding on extra pressure and you know, just the continual flow of the deck. And you know, when you're on Tetra Drive, missing that just makes it a lot hard, especially when you go into Tetra Boil. When you do that, you really have to make sure you have a Stasia on board, and Magnum Assault on board, a Tidal Assault on board, something else that can get you to the 4th battle. Even if you have a Foivos on board, you need to make sure you have another rear guard that can attack, so that you can, so that you can, you know, attack with Tetra Boil second, and then Foivos twice, then restand. But the beauty of Anger Boil is that he'll let you attack with something first. Then when he attacks, he'll restand that unit. Then he'll allow you to attack 2 more times, and potentially you'll have another battle after you attack with Tetra Boil for the 5th battle. So that 6th battle, you can apply the final amount of triggers to that for a 6th attack. Because sometimes, you know, depending on how the damage goes and the guarding goes, Tetra Boils, you know, when Tetra Boil restands and that restand attack, they can just depending on how it goes, perfect guarding that last attack, you know, you might reveal the triggers you need, and, you know, not being on Anger Boil and restanding, you know, that rear guard that could potentially have been your 6th attack where you could have applied those triggers to, can definitely come into play. And being on Tetra Drive, you know, is just not really that optimal anymore. So again, I'd rather be on Anger Boil at all times. I actually don't ride Anger Boil that often. Believe it or not, whenever I play, I rarely ride Anger Boil. I usually ride him later in the game, but Tetra Boil is usually, or Tetra Drive is usually my first ride. But that's what I've noticed with play testing, with a lot of play testing in this deck, is that Tetra Drive, you know, really, when you ride him, you really have to work for a lot of what you want. And then if you can't stride or anything like that, then you're definitely in a struggle position, and you want to get to Anger Boil as fast as you can, because he definitely provides you an out to a lot of other things, especially control. Like when you go up, if you happen to face Dark Face Mega Colonies and other things like that, his GB2 ability definitely acts as a leeway to that. Otherwise, you want to find yourself striding into cards like, you know, Lambros and Commander Thavas and things like that. All right, on to G-Zone. Alright guys, so for the G-Zone, 1 copy of Aristotle. Again, just if I need to pop a card that's just annoying on board. Copy of Seabreeze. I know that a good portion of this deck is not G-Break, even though Magnum Assault is, but still, going Seabreeze still gets me to GB1. And then when I am able to get to GB2, and then that means that next time I stride, I can go into Tetra Boil, Lambros, whatever it is, and, you know, so I can, I can do that. Plus, being able to Seabreeze somebody while they're at a 9K definitely builds up some, a lot of advantage, and it also gives access to Stacia, who I do play 3 copies of, and Magnum Assault, who I can also use if I have 3 damage or if I throw a Supersonic Sailor into the soul. So Seabreeze is definitely, to me, a staple card in the G-Zone, especially from my experience using him this weekend. Now G Guardians, I'm running Flodia, still 1 Flodia and 1 Dismal. I don't like her. I wish she was a better G Guardian, but, you know, sometimes, you know, her condition is a little bit easier to get off depending on the deck you play against. This one's there to protect your rear guard, protect your Foivos, protect your Tylo Assault wherever they are, if need be, especially if you're going into a turn where, you definitely need them and you can't, you can't afford to lose them. Definitely, and 2 copies of Screw. Screw is a really good G-Guard in this deck specifically because we have the ability to bounce multiple grade 3s back to our hand and then use those grade 3s as fodder for striding and to pitch for his ability to gain the extra 10k shield. And again, yes, I'm borrowing my brother's, but yeah, pitching that grade 3 to get the extra 10k shield is just so good, and so that's pretty much why. And Screw has definitely become one of my favorite, one of my favorite G Guardians to use this format. He saved me a lot of times matching 36, and then I can guard for more. Again, turning grade 3 into an extra 10k is really good. All right. Now I'm running also 4 copies of Commander Thavas. I told you guys in the last video, Commander Thavas is just too good of a card. you know, now we can run 4 of him. He's usually my first stride to get me to GB2. You put 5K on like a Foivos or a Tile Assault, and you can definitely have fun. He's just in a nasty card, and if you G-guard and then go into him maybe as like a mid-game card, he can get off a nice retire. He's just a very good utility card overall. He definitely has... he may have a little bit better usage in a Thavis deck, you know, but depending on how it is, dropping double Adelaide, I'm still on that. But yeah, Thavis is still a very good card, and I think you should definitely run him at 4. Now, I think in this deck you can definitely get away with running 2 copies of him. So if you have 2 copies of him, you know, sure, definitely run him. But I say he's definitely a staple at 2 in this deck. So if you only have 2 copies of him, go ahead and throw in 2 copies of Lambros. So because that's something that I'm still working with. I'm switching out between 2 copies of Thavis and 2 copies of Lambros. I'm switching out between those 2. So if you guys are testing out, if you have 2 copies of Thavis in your deck and 4 Lambros, let me know how that's working for you guys. But yeah, so I'm running 2 copies of Lambros. I usually only need to go into him once because Tetra Boil usually puts on a lot of pressure and, you know, puts them in a really bad situation. I was talking with my brother-in-law. It's like generally if they live through 2 Tetra Boils and 1 Lambros, then I'm doing something wrong, so to speak. So yeah, but yeah, Lamby Bambi, baby. Still one of the best finishers for Aqua Force in the game. Just a nasty card. Love it. He doesn't really synergize too well with Foivos, but you know, with 16 G zones, I'm still playing around with this G zone. Again, this is just after Fireclick 2016. I'm still heavily play testing with this deck, so I'm going to be testing out 4 Lambros in this deck with Tetra Boil and you know, other lineups. So I will keep you guys posted on how that's doing and bring you guys an update for set 7. And, you know, it's going to definitely change when set 7 comes out because you already know how Kagro is going to get. And maybe or maybe not, it might change up. We'll see. And then to finish it off for Tetra Boil, he's the main strike card this deck. This guy definitely builds up a lot of advantage, guys. When you restanding Vanguard, when you use the crit trigger, it's just nasty. He punishes a lot of people. This deck can definitely put on a lot of pressure with a small field. Now there have been some games, guys, where I have used the starter double crit trigger. I have went from 2 to 10 cards, and I have had 0 triggers in my hand. I will have like 12 triggers in deck and 0 triggers in hand, and it's like, my goodness, I have nothing to guard with. So there have been games where that has happened, and then there will be games where there is this risk factor that when you draw a lot of cards, you're going to draw because it's a draw on swing, that you're going to draw into those triggers that you were going to drive check. So, you know, there is some conflicting decisions where, dang it, do I really want to use it here? It's like, yes, just use it. Those extra draw triggers, you know, I'm more worried about being able to defend myself going into the next turn, you know, a lot more often than, you know, just trying to drive check triggers and whatnot. You know, triggers are going to come and go here and there, but I want to be able to defend myself going to the next turn, and I enjoy the pressure that he brings. So yeah, but again, that is a risk factor that you're just going to have to live with all the draw power and whatnot that this deck can definitely bring to you guys. So, hope you guys enjoy the deck profile. Know it's another long one, but, you know, I like to explain a lot of things I like to do. It is what it is. I'm going to be bringing you an update to my Ripple deck profile next. And then I'll be bringing you updates. I'll just bring you some other Fire Collection updates. I finished my Gavriel No CL deck, or Gavriel deck, whatever. I can actually have 2 different versions. I have a Gavriel Focus deck, then I have a Gavriel No CL deck. So, you know, is what it is there. And so I'll be bringing you guys that deck profile as well. As well as some more informational videos on the East Coast Battle Circuit and other things going on. All right, it's been the Cardfight King, and I'm out. Peace.